Well, what about when you do have the system taking over at mealtime? And even, what if you were to let the system take over control so that you have a snack but you don't get insulin for it? And so this looks at a study where we used the system in the setting of missed insulin for meals or snacks. And we did this in adolescents, which isn't to say that adolescents ever miss insulin for meals or snacks, because I'm sure that they don't. But we were able to have them come in. They got a 30-gram snack without getting insulin for it. They then got a lunch where they only got 75% of the insulin for the carbs that they ate. So they ate 80 grams, but they told the system, or their usual care, that they were only getting 60 grams. And then we followed them until evening. And we did this not in a hospital, but in a house that we rent to be able to run some of these studies. So it's kind of a cozy place for the kids to hang out. Not surprisingly, when we look at what the blood sugars did for the usual care, there was an increase in blood sugar before the snack and before lunch, and then that stayed elevated until evening. Whereas on the system, there was an improvement in the pre-blood sugar lunch compared to before, as well as after the dinner. And when you look at the curve, you can see that those who were on, they were similarly randomized to being either on the system or off the system, and then they switched. And the time that they were on the system, their blood sugar, the system kicked in when they had a high blood sugar and brought them down, not to a low, but to a safer blood sugar before lunch. Then they went up again, having not received full insulin, they came down. When they were on usual care, they did get their full correction factor here, which they didn't when they were on the system. And the correction factor helped, but it didn't help enough, and they stayed high during that time. I think if we were to take something from this, I would say the artificial pancreas eventually can compensate for missed meals for food, but you do have to give it some time. One thing that we noted is that if we were to have run this study an extra hour, they would have had beautiful looking blood sugars because the system has more time to inject extra insulin and bring you into the target range. But I think that when we think about the work that it's going to take to have good control, that there still probably is going to be the need for meal identification and some carb counting.